Hey guys, it's Logan. Today is October 26, 2015. My video topic today is just a simple video of 5 things not to ask a trans guy. So I just have 5 questions that most trans guys hear that don't want to hear. So this is kind of an educational video just for people that want to know things, but you really shouldn't ask. Just Google them. Google has answers for everything. Just don't ask these to a trans guy unless you actually know them and you know they won't get offensive about it. Like myself, I probably wouldn't get offensive if you pull me aside and ask me, but if you ask me in front of other people, that'd be pretty shitty. So, okay, number 1, what's your legal name? Most trans guys, whenever they come out as trans, they will also try to change their name. Myself, I don't really feel like I need my name changed. My name's Logan anyways, so it's a unisex name and go both ways. So I don't really feel it's necessary to change my name. Now my middle name, on the other hand, I almost feel like I would need to change. I feel like my middle name is Danielle. It's just kind of like I was supposed to be named after, I guess, my dad whenever I was born, if I was born a boy. But I wasn't. So they gave me Logan instead, but made my middle name Danielle, so it could kind of still be in a little bit of what my dad's name was. I don't feel like it's necessary for me to change my name. Now my middle name, I'm kind of in a toss-up between Daniel and Eli. My wife likes Eli better, but my family would prefer me to stick with Daniel. I don't know, it's kind of a toss-up for me. I really don't know at the time right now, just because of the fact that, like, I would still like to have, like, my dad's name type in me, but at the same time I have a little brother that's also named Daniel, so I feel like it's kind of crossing paths, and I don't really like that, but I guess it just kind of is going to depend on, just one day I'm going to wake up and I'm just going to know what I want it to be. So either way, reason not to ask a trans guy this is because a lot of trans guys, whenever they come out and they're transitioning, they don't want their birth name. Obviously they're changing their name for a reason. They're changing their name to fit who they are on the inside. A lot of trans guys will find it very, very offensive to ask this to them. It's just something you don't want to do. It can cause dysphoria. It can be a trigger warning. You know, some trans guys take it differently than others. Myself, on the other hand, this list of questions, you could honestly ask me as long as you ask me aside from everybody. I would prefer you not to ask me in person, although I will go through the list and I will answer them just because I'm very open about my transition. I would like people to know. I would like to be recognized for, you know, coming out and being trans and being so open about it, so that people that don't understand the whole transgender life and how things work and things you can and can't say to a trans guy, I would like to be someone that could help people out with that, just because of the fact that I know what it's like to be put in those situations and how uncomfortable it feels. So, okay. Number 2, how do you have sex? This is one of those questions where you should never, ever ask a trans guy. Actually, this whole list is. But this one is very specific because a lot of trans guys can't even have sex because their dysphoria is so bad that, you know, they just can't even do it. You know, and it sucks. It would suck. For sure. I'm not going to get into my sex life on this topic, but I mean, in a way, like, it would have to suck to be very, very dysphoric. I am not so much sex dysphoric or anything like that. I feel comfortable enough with my partner. I am with my partner for a reason, and I would not have it any other way, but at the same time, that is just something that you wouldn't want to ask. That could be a trigger warning to some trans guys. To have an outburst or something like that. So you just don't want to ask anything like that. There are certain people, I'm sure, that you could ask that probably would not get so offensive about it if you know them personally, but as just being like a stranger and walk up to me and be like, hey, I see your videos on YouTube. I hear you're trans. Yeah? So how do you have sex? No, you don't ask someone that, you know, unless you personally know them and they're personally willing to explain things like that. You really don't need to know. It's none of your concern. Number 3, so when are you getting surgery? this is something that is extremely a touchy subject for some guys, because some guys are in a financial state where they can't afford top surgery. Like myself right now, I can't afford top surgery. That's why I set up a GoFundMe account, which I don't like the whole donations thing, but at the same time, like if it's gonna make me feel better and help, and I know that I have such a great support system with friends and family that it really, I feel like they would be willing to help, and it would help me conquer a dream that I have of being able to hopefully one day be able to walk outside shirtless. And that's kind of like the main thing of getting like your gender marker changed, is having top surgery and whatnot. So I feel like that's something that really is a big spot of where a lot of trans guys are dysphoric, is their top surgery, their hips, and bottom surgery. Well, bottom, of course. A lot of trans guys just, are very dysphoric about those places. I myself am dysphoric about my top and my bottom and my hips, like all three places. Like those are just touchy subjects for me. But as like, you wouldn't really want to ask someone when they're getting top surgery, just because of the fact that you never know how their financial stability is. You don't know if maybe, they can't really afford a good binder, so they're just kind of taping it down, which you should never do. Never use ace bandages, tape, nothing. Don't do any of that, because that's just going to cause other issues that you don't want to have to deal with. So, I mean, like, we have to bind them down, and for a trans guy, if someone says, so when are you getting top surgery, and they don't know you personally, that almost kind of makes a trans guy think, I'm not binding good enough, like my chest isn't flat, like, you know what I mean? Like, that's a really touchy subject. That can cause extreme dysphoria for most trans guys. So just never ask that. Number 4, if you're a guy, why do you not have a penis? This is another great question, I think. You just don't want to ask that, just because I firmly believe that your gender should not be based upon the body parts that you have, but how you feel inside. Obviously, I still have breast tissue or breast, and I don't have a penis. But does that make me any less of a guy? I mean, I kind of feel like, unless you're kind of intimate with that person, it really shouldn't matter. Obviously, I mean, if you're dating a straight girl and she goes to have sex with you and realizes that it's not real, or you don't have one, that could cause issue there. But it's also, that's something that like a lot of guys are dysphoric about, is the fact that society kind of places you in a category of whether you have a penis or you don't have a penis, and that's just one of the things that you really don't want to strike in a trans guy. I think that for the most part with this question is just, you just don't ask it. You know what I mean? It's just one of those, it's a touchy subject for a lot of trans guys. Actually, all these questions are, but I think this one is a top one, just because of the fact that it's kind of like you're placing us into a category that we're not real men, we're not cisgender men, because we don't have a penis, which is absolutely stupid. It's not what you have here or here, it's what you have in between here. It's just, like myself, like, I feel like I'm a guy. You know what I mean? I don't feel like I was born in the correct body. I don't feel like I'm a female. I don't think like a female. I don't do things that females do. I do things that guys do. And I feel like I, on the inside, am a male. And I would like for my physical features and everything to match how I feel on the inside. So that's kind of my goal with taking the testosterone and doing the transition, is so that I will soon be able to be on the outside who I am on the inside. Okay, so number 5. So why don't you just be a lesbian? Okay, well, this is my last question. But why? Okay, this goes back to the whole thing of, if you're, most trans guys come out as being a lesbian at first. And that's because, like myself, I didn't really, I've heard of, people saying he, she, which is also offensive to trans people. But it's just one of those subjects of where you really don't want to, there's boundaries with this question. because you come out as a lesbian at first, and then you kind of get in and you learn about the whole transgender thing, and you're like, man, you know, you could start thinking to yourself like I did, like, I feel like a guy, I dress like a guy, I find women attractive, you know, and you don't necessarily have to be interested in women to be a trans guy. There are such thing as trans guys that are gay, and that's perfectly fine, you know, it's whatever you like, in my personal opinion. But I feel like with this question, the wording is very, very particular on it, such as the whole lesbian part, you know what I mean? It's just, I came out as a lesbian at first, and then I came out as trans. I came out as trans because my insides make me feel like I'm a guy. I do not, in any way, shape, or form, feel like I'm a girl. Like I said earlier, I do guy things. I don't do female things. I do guy things. So, the next part that I wanted to discuss on this question is, why does it matter to you if I'm trans or if I'm lesbian? I don't feel like it should really matter to anyone whether I'm trans, I'm a lesbian, I'm gay, I'm, you know, purple, blue, asexual, pansexual, no matter what. It really shouldn't matter how I identify. It really should have no matter to you at all. So this is just one of those subjects that really isn't, I mean, it could be a trigger warning for some trans guys. I don't really feel like it's a big one necessarily, just because most trans guys come out as lesbian at first, but we all want to be respected and have the same respect that any cisgender man has. We want to have the correct pronouns used for us. We want to be able to use the male restrooms, you know, like I don't go to the restroom in public. Obviously, if I have to at work on a 10-hour shift, I have to. But it's one of those things that you don't really know how to handle, because especially in an awkward stage of your transition where you're partially passing, but you're not partially passing. Like, which bathroom do you go into? You know, and you can't, I almost feel like most trans guys will choose the women's restroom until they are passing all the time, or they will hold their urine. They will do anything they can to not have to use the restroom because that's a dysphoric place for us. I myself, I have used the men's restroom at work, but it's a single stall, you know, you go in, you lock the door, and it's fine. I have not gotten up the courage to go into, like, a Walmart or grocery store restroom. I have not worked up the courage to do that yet, although I think that I am now passing well enough that I maybe get misgendered 2 or 3 times a day. So, and that's not bad, and most of the time it's just because I'll slip up and I'll be kind of saying something and I'll slip up into a high-pitched voice, and then people will just kind of misgender me there. But I feel like it's just, you know, it's a work in progress. Oh, sorry, I'm tired, but it's a work in progress. You just gotta kind of keep strong about it, as what I've been doing. You know, you can't take it too personal if a person misgenders you. It does happen. It happens quite frequently, but I've been lucky enough here lately to only be getting misgendered once or twice a day, maybe 3 times at the most. For the most part, they use the male pronouns, which is absolutely awesome, and I can't even explain the words of how much and how great it feels to actually be called the right pronouns and be treated like a guy. That's absolutely awesome. It's like a huge weight being lifted off your shoulders. But anywho's, I'm gonna wrap this up. I will possibly put my link for my GoFundMe account in the description here if you guys want to go check that out. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Subscribe, follow, whatever you want to do. Look me up on Facebook or Instagram, and I will hopefully, well, I know I will, but I'll be back on here next Monday. If anybody has any topics, categories y'all want me to speak about, get a hold of me, and I will make a video about it. So, thanks, guys.